How can the girl get the kiss out of you?
Oh God, I'm sweating here.
Hi, I'm Carla from Venezuela.
I'm Leon from Germany.
I'm Gabriela and I'm from Chile.
I'm Jinho and I'm from Korea.
Obviously, say hi, hug, and kiss in the cheek.
Just one time?
One time.
Okay.
Only one time. That's it.
Well, with Latin, everyone knows it's always a kiss on the cheek.
First date would be like, 안녕하세요.
Awesome.
Usually in my country, the guy comes and pick her up, and we go usually for a restaurant or something. Like, I'm not your dog, so you cannot take me out on a walk.
In Korea, I would say, like the safest bet would be to start off with coffee dates. Dinner might mean a little more.
And obviously, after eating, we can go for drinks and dancing, because dancing is a huge part of my culture. And if you don't know how to dance, then probably the date is not going to happen.
She has a whole plan already.
It's usually the guy that comes up with a plan.
Oh, that sounds nice. There's not much planning going on. You kind of meet in a corner somewhere in Chile and say, well, I guess where do we go from here? It's not good, ladies. It's not good.
Well, Korean men would get into trouble for that. That's a big, huge no-no.
Usually you just meet at the place, to be honest. And we don't really have in mind what we do. We can go to a restaurant, to a bar. And if we're up for dancing, if you find a German that can dance without alcohol or being super drunk, you can be happy to dance. Let's go.
Venezuela, I would probably not accept, like, me going by myself to a place. No, I wouldn't accept that. No.
Take note of that.
We are very touchy, very romantic. So if you don't look at me in the eyes when I'm talking, if you don't like try to see my hair, how beautiful I am, you need to compliment me, my makeup, because I took a lot of hours to come here, okay?
The thunder was so fitting, though, to what she said. Like, boom, that.
Especially if you like each other, you're like right up against each other from the start. There's always the tricks. Let me sit down and be like, oh, and a lot of like playing dumb and coy, just kind of making it get even closer and closer and closer in the shortest amount of time possible, especially if you like each other.
If we go dancing, obviously we're going to be touching each other, but not touching.
We don't dance like in a group or something. We like.
No. We don't dance like that. Like you need to
It
dance
has to be like salsa.
Yeah, together. Lastly, just don't do any sexual stuff. No.
I don't think I have to say anything anymore. Am I allowed to say my opinion? Oh my God.
So like this distance I have with Gabriela would be a little too intimate on a first date.
He's freaking out.
I'd take a slight step back here and there, But then, like as you're walking, there's gonna be like a little touches, definitely, and it's gonna be like.
I definitely agree we should look at the eyes. That's really important. So for example, we do shears. It's very important in Germany to look in the eyes. Otherwise, it's called 7 years bad sex. That's like a rule in Germany. So I agree with that. I don't think we are overly touchy. That would be something probably a bit uncomfortable for us.
If a guy was immediately putting his arm around me right away, that's not what we're into. We do like a lot of the kind of like slow burn seduction stuff, but there will be a lot of like constant touching, walking together, something like we do want to do a lot of kind of like.
I think, especially considering that a German would date a Latina, for example, and you take charge of like, we dance and you're really easygoing about it, you can easily take and convince a German to do the same. It's just not that we would initiate it.
Kissing at the beginning, halfway through, at the end. If we're into it, like it's going to happen, just endless kissing.
That has never happened to me on my first date. So yeah, we're very different. I would say maybe like on a third,
even if you're really into her.
First dates, second dates, it doesn't have any. If I like the person, I'm gonna do it in the first and in the second, if like when I feel it.
It's not a must, but I think a first date is definitely possible. It's not a big deal,
Yeah, for sure.
There's always the question of doubt, like whether she's into me as well. Like you sort of don't really know on a first date.
What would a girl have to do to let you know she's interested so that you want to reciprocate? How can the girl get the kiss out of you?
Oh God, I'm sweating here.
When that person is driving me back to my home, because obviously, they need to drive me back, then in the car, that's probably going to happen. After the dance, you're dropping me off in my house, then I'm going to kiss.
It sounds like an already written story. Like you expect the guy to drive you home, okay, in this moment, I have to do that moment because...
Yeah, the man.
We wish Chilean men would, and they're not going to like me saying this, but they try to kind of go half and half Dutch. However, that's not my preference.
So my opinion and what I heard from other people, I think you would definitely pay a drink. That's like a form of being a gentleman. What's the word for it? Chivalrous. If it comes to a point where you feel like, okay, I'm just exposing that I'm the guy and I have more money and I have more power, that's something weird to us. So I think if it's some act of kindness, we do it. But a whole dinner, not necessarily. It also depends on how the date went. If it was horrible and if you both don't like each other, then we probably just split anyways.
So what do you say? Like the bill comes and it's $200. What do you say?
You and me or with a German
Yeah.
girl?
No, you and me.
I don't think I have a choice. I could even see a German girl being offended if you are too pushy or I have to pay. She'll be like, okay, that's kind of patriarchal or sexist or something like that.
You know my answer.
Do you guys have sex on a first date?
If we want to, yeah, if we're into it.
Oh.
We're probably having sex halfway through.
Oh.
Oh my.
What about it? Tell me. You go first.
Yeah, for sure. If it
First date?
happens, if it happens, it happens. You know, after the kiss, when you're leaving me in my house, then you know I can say, you wanna go inside with me, and then it can happen.
So the typical movie thing, right? Like, is that what it means?
I think girls don't like men being touchy at all. Like that could actually be a minus. Physical intimacy doesn't usually happen that early.
And how do Korean men feel about that? Like, are you okay with that? Is that at your comfort
I'm
level?
not
Like-
okay with that.
but in general,
but
like,
in general, I think it's just like widely accepted. And
secretly, do the guys accept it? Do they want it, or
you know,
or they want more touchy?
Again, ambiguous, but we don't expect it. We are not mad if it doesn't work out. And I think there's a fair point for saying we delay it for a bit and wait for the second, third days, because otherwise maybe there's already some attachment because people get more attached after the first time. But we wouldn't say, okay, we don't have sex for sure. It depends on the vibe and how physical you are, how good is the connection when you kiss and all of that kind of stuff.
yes.
100%.
Yes.
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 I've never met a woman from Latin America. It's full of energy. It seems like, you know,
It's wild, passionate, crazy euphoria is what
Like-
he's trying to say.
yeah, in comparison, I feel like we're a little more reserved, which I find it boring.
And you see many couples from Northern Europe and Latin America. And it really often works out because I think the values are similar from Germany and Latin America because you believe in long-term family, honesty, and trust and all of that. But the temperament is very different. So Germans are a little bit more reserved. They are like, they need someone to push them to be more emotional, to open up. From what I heard, at least, you can confirm that or not.
We are toxic. Yes. We are.
I definitely would. In fact, I was saying that in Chilean culture, especially the women, there's a huge fascination for Korean men, like really into it. I think it's because it's the opposite. I think it's because it's very gentlemanly and gentle. Now, of course, some of that distance may not work for us, but as we are finding out, they might not want so much distance.
I know in Venezuela we are very superficial, and I don't know why this is big part of the culture that you need to like make your race better. So like if you are dating somebody that is whiter than you or like has blue eyes,
okay.
it is, you know.
We think the same way about Latinas. But if you date Latina, you made it.
If I bring you home and you have blue eyes, my mom will be like, I'm so proud of you. Like, it doesn't matter where, like, what you believes. Like, if you want to marry me, it doesn't matter. But you're good looking, so my mom is like, yes, you made it.